So I'm going to say something about enlightenment. In the Eastern sense, enlightenment has to do with attaining a mindset that gives you the broad overview that allows you to see past the faulty and illusory things that materialistic life and the trappings of egocentricity can show you. That you have to see through these things, and you have to put your ego in a non-destructive and non-central location. And this means things like putting others before yourself in a legitimate, genuine way, not just claiming that. I've spent a decade practicing, and I can say that I am, in fact, enlightened. I don't trumpet it, I don't broadcast it, I simply use it because that's why I sought it and I attained it. One of the things was, and it was a hard struggle, was to get my ego out of the way, especially given that I'm bipolar. I have the tendency to delusions of grandeur from time to time, and fighting that was particularly difficult, but I did eventually win out, and I seriously, legitimately consider the well-being of others to be the root indicator of my own well-being. My self-worth depends on how well others are doing. I'm confident in my own abilities because I said I am enlightened, but my real self-worth has to do with those around me, those whom I live with and support. So the thing is another way to define enlightenment is the process of stripping away untruth. That is basically what I just described at the start. That, you're... The untruth being that the ego is the center, the untruth being that the material is worthwhile, or that there's actual value in objects, or in, status. This all ties together. And ultimately, when you attain a true enlightenment, what you find is that everything is interconnected. There is a slight resemblance to all things with each other if you know where to look. So the expression I use is backseating the ego. You put your ego in the backseat. It's not in the driver's seat. It's not even in the navigator spot. It's a passenger. That's what that means. So I'm still thinking about this Comedy Central bit, and to strip away untruth is to destroy illusion, if you think about it. And you shouldn't have to think about it. It's the same frickin' thing. So when you contrive a name for a YouTube channel and you throw it in and you just obviously don't think about the implications of it, or maybe that enlightenment is just a myth. But no, and I'm not the only person that's attained this. There are several other people, and not just ones that I've met. There are a number of people in the world who are simply enlightened. It doesn't make us better than anyone else. It simply gives us an obligation. So, watching this dude correct everybody, what it ultimately came to is when these people should have come together and agreed on a way to defend their mutual belief system, splintered though it is, they instead opted to attempt to outshine each other. And you had the two guys in the middle trying to basically prove who knew more about what. Well, it's obvious if you know about numerology. Well, actually, no, that didn't happen. We don't know that for sure. It was just back and forth. It's just the same thing over and over, back and forth, back and forth. But what I noticed in particular was that there's, the guy whose YouTube channel is named after something resembling the process of enlightenment, and he just let his ego run around like a kid that drank Mountain Dew. It's midnight, 12:30 in the morning. Freaking 5-year-old is still running, going strong. That was what we witnessed. And the thing was, as we knew from watching the comments regarding the responses regarding the comments re-Comedy Central, that he had been warned. Everybody told him that it was a bad idea, that it would not be good, and he said no, because I'm going to go on and I'm going to show these clowns who's boss, and I'm going to tell them what's up because I know the truth. Well, he's convinced himself of this fact, and he's in fact convinced many of his followers of this fact as well. He has not convinced me because I have seen the proof otherwise. I just watched long enough and have a decent long-term memory, and you will start to see what's up. It's easy. This works with all kinds of things. All people have channels, news, TV shows, movies. You learn to recognize the patterns, it becomes pretty obvious. So, yeah, you know, just constant correcting, like all these other people are not the real true. It's like true. That's what it is. I don't know why I didn't say that earlier. It's like true believerism, Q-believerism. You know, you go to a religious event, or, you know, it's anybody who's not especially religious, is certainly not a fundamentalist, has ever talked to somebody that is, and it wouldn't matter if you verbatim adopted the creed that this person has adopted. They are still going to egotistically, pridefully remind you that they are the truer believer and of the superior faith, and that they know more, and that you need to follow them. That's just the way it goes. It's the trappings of ego. And so then you had the exact same thing. You had 4 people that are supposed to be on the same side, and they're all basically disagreeing with each other and correcting each other. And you know, it's you say that the goal is not to be enlightened, but you named your channel after enlightenment, and you tell other people about enlightenment, but when they try and check you on your own, that's more ego. That's all it is ego, delusion, pride, ignorance, definitely ignorance. I know they say that desire is the root cause of all suffering, but I tend to disagree. I believe that ignorance is the root cause of desire, and so how can the root cause have a root cause? That means that ignorance is in fact the root cause of suffering. So the cessation of suffering comes with the cessation of ignorance. The smarter people get, the less people suffer on certain levels. And then eventually people are all smart enough to help figure out how to end the rest of the suffering, which has to do with the cessation of desire. But you can't get there without the cessation of ignorance. I mean, that's the bottom line, is that, you know, when you desire things in a materialistic sense, an egotistical sense, you are ignorant of the illusion, which must be stripped or destroyed, right? So anyways, like I said, I've spent a decade practicing this. I am not exactly a newbie. This sure as fuck ain't my first rodeo. So, yeah, these are my thoughts on enlightenment. Also some thoughts on some relatively unenlightened gurus. I don't actually consider myself a guru. If anything, I probably qualify as a bodhisattva, but in all honesty, not really. So, yeah, the Daishin Ki Dhamma is coming, just not today.